Please make a copy of the reentry handout prior to watching this video, as it will be referenced during this presentation. If you have not downloaded it, please pause to do so now before continuing. With suicide currently the second leading cause of death for the 10 to 24-year-old age group, it is vitally important that educators pay close attention to the signs of distress and be proactive in providing support not only for students but also for staff members who might be experiencing a crisis. A group that is significantly at higher risk of suicide is individuals who are returning following an absence due to suicidal behavior. This could be someone who had a suicide attempt or who was hospitalized due to suicidal ideation. As staff members, we need to be proactive in supporting our students and colleagues as they are returning to the school environment after a suicide-related absence. We're going to share a handout with you, which includes tips for providing support during reentry. The handout also provides local resources that you can access for assistance. As we review this handout, keep in mind that it's not only students who may be facing challenges. Consider how you might also extend support to colleagues who have experienced suicide-related concerns. We understand that a person who is returning to school or work after a suicide-related absence often has added stress and anxiety that can place them at even higher risk. The handout reminds about the strong, conflicting feelings they may be having. Keep in mind that these intense feelings are now piled on top of the intense feelings that led to their suicidal ideation, so they can easily find themselves on overload. Studies have confirmed this greater risk, finding that in the first 3 months after being discharged from treatment for suicidal thoughts or behaviors, individuals had suicide risks 200 times the global population. They may have a very difficult time meeting school or work expectations while continuing to struggle with depression, medication changes, and stress. As educators, we need to then focus on what each individual needs to be successful. The handout offers a number of suggestions. The key is to be empathetic, really paying attention to how they are feeling and what we can do to help. It requires being flexible and open-minded, making whatever adjustments are needed. Educators can also play an important part in helping build protective factors. We know that the more protective factors that the students have, the better equipped they are for working through the tough situations and avoiding suicidal behavior. So it is vitally important that we look for ways to connect students to school and strongly relay the message that we truly do care about them and want to help. As we work to make students or colleagues feel welcome and safe during reentry, we also need to pay attention to our words. We have included some tips from the National Alliance on Mental Illness about what to say and not say. For example, we need to avoid words like committed suicide, which implies that the person committed a crime. Instead, one should consider saying took his own life or died by suicide. It's important to choose words carefully to avoid adding stigma, which could prevent them from reaching out for support. Knowing that there is much greater risk during the weeks and months after reentry, it is important to be alert to the warning signs. The list on the handout comes from the Kim Foundation, which is an excellent place to find extensive suicide prevention resources. You must be alert to these signs and be ready to act. And you should immediately report your concerns to officials in your school who have been designated with this responsibility. These individuals should be identified in your school's policies and procedures, as well as in your crisis or PFA team protocols. Your school will want to add these contacts to this tips handout. Also, keep in mind that you can call the Suicide Lifeline or utilize Safe to Help if it is available in your district. You should never be afraid to ask the person if he or she is considering suicide and be ready to provide assistance. Please take a moment to consider what you will do if a student or colleague walks into your building or classroom tomorrow who is returning after a suicide-related absence. What steps will you take to support this person? So in closing, we are reminded that one of the most important things we can all do is to let people know that they are not alone. We are there to support them. This is especially important for those who are re-entering the school environment following a suicide-related absence. Your actions will greatly improve the chances of a successful transition. We hope you will refer to this tips handout and take intentional, proactive steps to provide assistance. Your efforts will make a big difference. The NDE School Safety Suicide Prevention Team is here to help support you in your efforts.